All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about devices. Okay, so let's click on active devices, and you'll notice here that you're not going to see anything. Okay, no fully managed devices yet. To see devices in this list, you'll need to do two things: create or use an existing policy, and you or your users connect devices to Microsoft 365 Business Premium. Okay, so an example of that would be if you have an account, which we have one set up, and you want to access Outlook on your mobile device, you would access that on the mobile device and then it would show up here. Okay. Now, the cool thing about being able to manage a device from here, okay, is that this gives you the ability to remove company data. If you have a phone, let's say a cell phone, for example, and let's say that you hire someone and then you give them access and they do a year's worth of work, for just an example. Um, they work for you for a year, and then they resign or they find another job and they leave. Well, you can access their information from here and remove company data, okay, from their device. And that gives you control over your data, which you should have, okay? It is your business, it is your information. So you want to make sure that you're protecting that, okay? Now they also have app management, okay? So with app management, you can do the same thing, okay? You can remove company data from managed apps. The devices themselves are not managed, but the apps installed on the devices are managed with the policies you set up. You can't perform a factory reset of an app managed device. Okay, well, you don't really care about that. All you really care about is being able to manage the app and deactivating their account, for example. Let's say that you deactivated their account or changed the password, then they would be locked out of their account. Okay. An example of this would be the company that I worked for 2.5 years, where I was director of IT, and we had a lot of people that were working outside of the office. Okay, they were working remotely, and so they had their laptop set up, they had their smartphone set up, and they didn't even really have this type of setup for that because this was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Okay, pre-COVID, so people were still working remotely then, but not like they are now. Okay, and that's why Microsoft has updated a lot of this stuff because of COVID. There's a lot of remote work, and so this gives you more control over your accounts, which you should have. Okay, I completely agree with it. Next, we have autopilot. Okay, so autopilot. Okay, okay, so you can add devices. They'll show you how to upload a CSV file to add your device to the list above. Create profile. A profile is a collection of settings that can be applied to a single device or device group. So this is where you can set group information. Okay. They also have a start guide for autopilot. Okay. We're not going to dive into that because this has to do with devices and setting policies so that devices can do certain things. Now, this is highly recommended to use if you have company based mobile devices, for example. Let's say that you hire an employee and they get a smartphone with their employment. Then I would utilize this for them. And you can use this along with the active devices. Okay. Now let's look at policies. So with policies, we can add a policy. Okay. And so what you can do is you can do a couple things here. You can enter the policy name. So let's call this app policy. Okay. So application management for Android, application management for iOS, application management for Windows 10, and then Windows 10 device configuration. So you can set it for Android, you can set it for iOS, you can set it for Windows, and then device configuration. For this example, let's just keep it on Android. Okay. And what you can do is you can protect work files when devices are stolen or lost or stolen. Okay. Delete work files from an inactive device after 90 days. Force users to save all work files to OneDrive for business. On, you want to do that. Encrypt work files. You want to do that as well. So I'll give you a funny story. So this company I'm working for, they were not on the cloud. They had just got on the cloud, I should say. And they didn't understand that you could save every file on the cloud. Okay, and I was working with people that were a little older and they were stubborn and they didn't want to save things to the cloud. Okay, and I'm going to give you a reason why you want to use the cloud. Okay, so I had a user who didn't listen. I told them, I said, save your files to the cloud. And they said, I don't need that. Okay, that's fine with me. And so I just let them do it. And they lost all their files. And then the CEO got mad at me because I didn't back up their files. But I told them, I said, listen, I told them to back up their files on the cloud. They didn't listen. So the boss wanted me to go around to each computer, 100 users, and back up their files individually. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'll tell you what I will do, though. I will show people how to use OneDrive so that they can back up their own files so that the information is on the cloud. So if they get hit by a bus, hopefully they don't, but if they get injured and they're incapacitated, I don't have to go to their house and look for their external hard drive. Okay? So that's why you want to back things up on the cloud to protect your data. Okay? That's the key here. Okay? So we've set that up here. Who will get these settings? Okay, so I can set this up. I can create a group or I can do all users. Now, normally what you'll do is you'll set up a group for different departments. So if it's the executive, the board of directors, let's say, or an executive branch, so it's the CEO, CFO, CTO, COO, whatever their titles are, if they're an administrative, if they're the head of the business, they may have special groups, okay? And then the employees may have other groups or policies. Okay, so you'd have, for example, you'd have a sales department, you'd have an IT department, you'd have a marketing department, you'd have whatever other department you can think of, along with the executive department. Okay, so you can make different groups for that and then base it on that. Okay, you can also manage how users access Office files on mobile devices. Okay, so if I turn this on and then we go down, require a PIN or fingerprint to access Office apps. Reset PIN when login fails this many times, so 5 times. Require users to sign in again after Office apps have been idle for 30 minutes. Deny access to work files on jailbroken or rooted phones. We can turn that on. Don't allow users to copy content from Office apps into personal apps. That's on as well. So the reason why you want to do that is, I'll give you an example. I gave access to somebody by mistake. I gave them access with an account for the business, and they interchanged with their own account. Okay, what does that mean? Well, they logged in with their account, their personal account, and then also with a business account. Okay, and so that messed up all their files. So they were saving all their files to their personal account instead of the business account. So this is why you want to separate personal from business. If it has to do with business, you want to put restrictions on it so that they're not doing that. And that's why they have this right here. Don't allow users to copy content from Office apps into personal apps. The reason for that is you don't want them stealing information. Okay? That's an important reason why. Okay? Encrypt work files, force users to save all work files to OneDrive for business. Absolutely. Okay? So that's how you add a policy. Now we're not going to add this policy, so I'm going to close that out. And that's devices. So that's active devices, autopilot, and policies. All right, so thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.